This week on Half-Ass Movie Podcast, we talk about a movie that sounds like the worst on paper. But what if I added a greasy Dennis Franz? Yeah, well, welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Welcome back, you dirty babies. It's time for another Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Sure, we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Fortress, and welcome to Spooky Season Sequels, everybody. Joining me this week, he too made it in abandoned basements. Sweet Sean Zakovacs from the internet. I'm sorry, this thing got ungodly loud. What the? Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, that was super loud. I couldn't hear anything.
Heavens
you were
to
saying,
Betsy. Go ahead. Say your lines.
Go ahead with what?
Sweet Sean Zakovacs from the internet.
Just don't let me. Okay.
Sweet Sean Zakovacs from the internet.
Just don't let them take me to the asylum again.
And he's twice as handsome as Dennis Franz, Bruce Leslie.
Let's not go writing checks out my body can't cash.
Hey, listen, you know.
I did think the first thing I thought when I was watching that one diner scene was how Sean and I could really recreate the Anthony Perkins, Dennis Franz energy if we wanted to.
I tell you what, right now.
I mean, I think you understand I'm the Franz in the situation.
The only thing I would say is that I've seen pictures of you when you were younger. Like you had your moment in the sun, you know, like Dennis Franz never had that moment.
That was when he was younger that we saw. That was his
That's
prime.
what I mean. That's what I'm saying. He's probably 20 in his late 20s in that movie, and he looks awful.
He has looked 47 for 47 years, at least.
He seems like he drives himself off coming out of the shower with a pizza. He's just so greasy, man.
And isn't he the first man to show his butt on network television?
Yes, indeed, he was.
He might be. I don't know the answer.
It was
to that.
NYPD Blue. He was taking a shower, and they panned down, and we saw a Sipowicz butt on ABC at like 9 p.m. or something.
And not a single FCC complaint because everyone turned away from it.
I thought.
Oh dear God!
Avert your eyes!
I thought you were going to say they couldn't stop applauding and reach for their phone because they were just clapping the whole time. I thought that's what you were doing.
Clapping going on, that's for sure.
Indeed, there was. He was getting busy in that scene, if memory serves.
I've noticed that whenever it's disgusting nudity, the actor is always considered brave.
Oh yeah,
and then when it's good nudity, everyone's like, "This is just too much sex on TV."
Nobody talked about
too much sex in the movies.
Nobody talked about how Kathy Bates was exploited when she did that nude scene. Was it about Schmidt?
That is correct.
That's another. She's so brave.
Yeah,
that is not a. Oh my God, this is too sexy for everyone.
Yeah, you want the too sexy, not the like, oh my goodness, Janet, you are so brave. Love it.
So that's what Lady Matlock's cans look like.
I'll tell you who's brave was the kind of chubby guy from Broken Lizard that showed his gonads in Super Troopers, man. He probably would have had a good reason not to be real proud.
Would have had a good reason not to be proud, he says. Before we get into all this kind of good stuff here and everything, like I said, we're talking about Psycho 2 today, the movie that should have, on paper, never really have happened. What a horrible idea that sounds like. And guess what, everybody? They made a pretty decent movie. We're going to talk about that today and a whole bunch of other things. But before we do that, we do want to remind you that we are a live show. And believe it or not, old Marty, after all of these years, he comments on last week's stream and says, I did not realize that this was a visual format now. And I was like, sir.
Oh,
it wasn't forever. Forever it was.
No, it wasn't. And we would just put the show up on YouTube and it would just be the audio form and everything. But there's now pictures, everybody. So you can come along and do for the live stream and watch all three of us at the same time and everything. Or I've finally gotten back to it since the move has happened and everything. And I can kind of, justify some, time.
You have a life again.
Exactly. We got the full edits coming up as well. So check out the full edit of last week's show up on YouTube. And then this week's show will be, probably probably about a day or so afterwards. We'll chop out the Dinger Zone. That'll be the end of this episode. That'll be available at patreon.com/HMP. We'll get in that in a second here. But then you can check out that full edit video that goes back and forth, a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting for you. So if you're somebody that needs a little bit more of that visual pop and doesn't just need to, hear the words and everything, check out that full edit. It's a good time for you. And I got a whole bunch of other videos and stuff in the works because the home theater is chugging along. I got almost all my painting done in there and everything. It's way too much work, but check all that kind of good stuff out. That'll be over there on YouTube. YouTube links in the show notes as always. And if you can, drop us a little dime there, will you? Come on.
Fortress Bucks.
There it is. My goodness, the button wouldn't push for some reason. Because I need to cover this mortgage here and everything. So Fortress Bucks are always going to be appreciated. We love you, love you, love you. And just tell a friend, man. We appreciate you. And if you can't do if you want to be the best of the best, patreon.com/HMP. Pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. Dinger Zone this week, which we'll be doing right after this on the live stream. We're going to be doing our top 5 surprisingly good movies. So movies that you did not necessarily think were going to be all that hot going in, and all of a sudden, boom, it turns you around on it. Because Psycho 2, I think, is a little bit like that. We'll be getting into that.
I had such an easy time with this. I don't know why I did, but this top 5, it was just like bam, 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 bam. It was
I
so
struggled
easy.
with the top 5.
Oh, really?
I think I had a really good one, and it mostly stayed in kind of in the horror-esque realm and everything. So it's apropos of the season.
Look at Fancy Pants over there, keeping it in the genre.
We aren't all heroes, but the heroes that are out there, they hit like and subscribe on this here podcast. That's what they do, boys and girls, and keep abreast of all those fine situations. So let's do this, boys.
You still the king, Portress. You still the king, baby.
Let me. I don't have the IMDb page, but we're gonna do it anyway. Here's the IMDb plot line for Psycho 2. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. After 22 years of psychiatric care, Norman Bates attempts to return to a life of solitude, but specters of his crimes and his mother continue to haunt him. This is written by Tom Holland, who you, of course, know as Spider-Man. Hold on. Nope, wait a minute. Hold on. Turns out this is the Tom Holland who was the guy behind The Beast Within, Class of 1984, Fright Night, Child's Play, and, of course, Thinner, the best movie of all of those. This is directed by exploitation expert Richard Franklin, who directed Patrick. That's a movie about a man in a coma who has telekinesis. We got Road Games. It's got Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis. Awesome flick. Check that one out. Yeah, we got Link that has a monkey and Elizabeth Shue and Terrence Stamp in it. And he even directed an episode of Beauty and the Beast where, word has it, Ron Perlman actually looked like that before makeup. This is starring Anthony Perkins, Vera Miles, Meg Tilly, Robert Loggia, and of course it's 1980s and you need a scum bum, so who do you call? That's right, Dennis Franz. Psycho 2, you got to ask yourself, why on earth would they make this? And we'll talk about it because this was the first time that Bruce has seen it. But Sean, you and I had kind of seen this previously. How did you come about this originally?
This is one of those weird things where one of my sisters went through a phase where she just started liking really strange movies. The Exorcist was one of her favorite movies. And so she started watching all the Exorcist movies. Mm-hmm. And so there's that weird thing with Exorcist 3, where the first Exorcist, unimpeachable, great movie. I don't know if it's scary anymore, but it's a great movie still. Exorcist 2 is just complete dog shit. But Exorcist 3 is actually a good movie.
People make arguments that it's the best one.
Surprisingly well made. Yeah. And so because of that, my sister kind of forced me to watch those movies during the Halloween holiday. Is that a thing? Sure. Halloween holiday?
Yeah.
Sure.
Why not? Yeah.
And we would start going through other movies that had sequels, and one of them was Psycho. And so, you see the first Psycho, and when you're a kid, it looks like the oldest movie ever made. When you get older, you understand the craft to that movie, and you just like it more and more as you get older. But then she watches Psycho 2. And for a long time, from the time I was probably 13 till I don't know, when I fancied myself a film snob, like 18 or so, I liked Psycho 2 more than I liked the original Psycho. Now that isn't the case anymore. Now I see what these movies are. But there was a time where if you would have asked me what is my favorite Psycho, I would have said Psycho 2.
For me, real quick, because you're the newbie. For me, I only came across this a couple years ago when, oddly enough, Quentin Tarantino was talking about it, and I was like, and he just was heaping a ton of praise on it, and I was always like, it was Psycho 2. Why on earth would you want to see a sequel to one of the the master's great films and everything? How could you go? What a perfect ending the original Psycho had. And it's just like, why do you need more? Why do you need extra? But Tarantino was like going on, is like, hey, this is really, really good. And I think he was talking about it in respect to Richard Franklin and everything. But mentioned how Psycho 2 was really good. So I was like, all right, let's check it out. And you watch it, and it's like, holy smokes, this is way better than it has any right to be.
It's the reason why Anthony Perkins agreed to do it, because they sent him the script. He was like, "Oh, hold on a sec. Yeah, let's do this thing. This script is actually trying to say something, and also is a slasher film."
Yeah, and it's still interesting, So, but Bruce, obviously, we'd all seen Psycho at some point or another, and we can understand why you wouldn't want to see this.
Well, I'll say that I've always appreciated Psycho. I've understood the artistry of it without ever really enjoying it. Like you watch it, and I admire aspects of it, and I admire the historical value of the movie and things, but I don't get that much enjoyment. Also, I have to say that most of the times when I saw it was the TBS television cut, so it may not be the same experience as just sitting and tearing through Psycho. And I mostly watched it at an age where I was probably too young to appreciate it.
And it's slower. So if you're a younger person, before things really start getting interesting in Psycho, it takes 20 minutes or so to kind of get there.
Yeah.
But first time I've seen Psycho 2, and at this point, I think it might be my favorite Psycho shot.
Whoa.
I know who has the balls to make a sequel to a Hitchcock movie and actually make it good. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, here's the timeline for it, right? Because I wanted to put together a bit of a timeline, because it didn't make much sense to me. Why 22 years later, right? And so looking through, doing half-ass internet research on this thing, I put together a bit of a timeline. So in 1980, Hitchcock dies, right? And so you kind of have to wait for Hitchcock to die in order to do a sequel to this.
Yeah.
Right? And so 1982, Robert Bloch, the guy who wrote the novel for the original Psycho, writes a sequel appropriately titled Psycho 2. Huh. And so that starts stirring the juices over in Hollywood. And that, coupled with the public's interest with slasher films during that time, early 80s, you're talking like that's the primo time for all this.
Oh, yeah.
The producers over at Universal decide that they want to make a sequel to Psycho. And then 1983, the movie Psycho 2 is released. And I have there's a lot of stuff in between there that we'll get into, but that's sort of the timeline of how this got made.
How much do you know about the content of the novel Psycho 2?
I know that it is that when the producers read it, they were furious with what the movie is about, or what the novel is about, because it's basically about Norman Bates going to Hollywood to kill the people who are making a movie based on his life.
That's kind of fun.
It's a critique. Basically, it's a critique of what happened in Hollywood after the Psycho movie from Hitchcock. Influenced probably the most by Friday the 13th and Halloween. But right. This was like the author saying, I'm disgusted that I let Hitchcock make this movie, right. And horror belongs in novels and not in movies. And the folks who, own the rights to that Psycho bit by Hitchcock are saying, we got to get ahead of this book. We got to get out in front of this, because they heard about the book before it was published. I think they actually had like a right of first refusal to adapt the book or something like that. So they got to read it before it was published, and like, well, we're gonna execute our right to adapt the book, but we're not going to adapt the book. We're just going to try to make a movie so people don't ever read the book.
Hey, listen, Worked on me.
And I didn't know this, but Green, the director, the reason why he was chosen as the director is, one, because he just is a very competent director, but two is that he literally studied under Hitchcock at USC.
Yeah,
and
I
so
think that's how he got the gig.
Right. And so because of that, and because he has an encyclopedic knowledge of the way that Hitchcock shot stuff, they were like, well, this is just, it makes sense. Let's have his pupil come and shoot this thing. And although it's, I don't think anyone would ever say that Green is Hitchcock, it does feel like, oh, this is probably what this would have looked like if Hitchcock was a director in modern times.
It's pretty close. The amount of kind of style and everything that this movie has that pulls from Hitchcock, this great iconography from these shots and everything, but never really like feels like he's forcing you. It's like forcing member berries down your throat, right? It's like we're doing things that are very evocative of the first film, but they're not necessarily, hey, look at this kind of thing. It's more just kind of a subtle, like, this is to remind you what Psycho is. And here's the thing. The set itself is so, I don't know how it's so damn close. It looks like,
it's the same set.
I've been there.
The exact,
it's the universal backlight.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know with some of these fires.
It's the same set, man. They literally, because before they shoot Psycho 2, there was disrepair that had happened to that set. And they took it down piece by piece from where it originally was, and they moved it to the other side of the back lot so that they could restore it, as much as they needed to restore it. Because how much do you need to restore that house if no one's been in it for 22 years, right? And so that's kind of what they do. And they had the interior sets. They had a lot of the props from the original thing. They were going to use the same shower head, but somebody had stolen the shower head before they shot the scene.
Specifically designed for that first movie and everything, to get it the stream around the camera and everything. So a lot of people don't realize that was very specifically designed for that shot, which is wild.
The corpse, Mama's corpse, Mrs. Bates' corpse, is that the same prop from the first movie?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. That would have been a cool little bit of trivia. I was hoping it was.
No, but like even the carpet runners are the same from the original movie. There's a lot. There's the artwork that's hanging up in the Bates Motel that is the horrific scene of a woman being sexually assaulted. That's from the original film. Like there's a bunch of original props from one to the other. It's kind of surprising that out of the gate, because I know that when they shot the original Psycho, everyone kind of wrote it off like it's not that big a deal. And whenever that happens, people generally higgledy-piggledy just throw crap away from those movies. But for some reason, they kept a ton of the stuff from the original Psycho.
I heard an interesting
where
story.
they've relocated the house and the motel office to is a beautiful spot. Like that hill that they're coming down in this movie. I mean, when you see it in person, nice sunny day. It's like
I've been there.
I can't explain why Psycho is one of the most iconic like visual movies in my lifetime. So you see that it like washes over me the feeling more than even when like the Bruce jumps out of the water, which you think I would look forward to Bruce meeting Bruce. But it's just it makes you really wish they'd stop the tram and let you jump out and look around.
So I just recently saw an interview with Danny McBride, and he was talking about he's like, most of the things I've ever done have been like, kind of on location or not away from stuff. I always thought Hollywood was going to be kind of backlot stuff. And the one movie that I worked the most backlot stuff was Land of the Lost. He goes, so at night, Will Ferrell and I and a couple other guys, we'd like get on golf carts and stuff and just drive through all the backlot here and everything. And they would go up to the Psycho house, and only one person could do it. You had to walk up to the Psycho house and knock on the door. And
that's cool.
They were just like, nothing's there, but it still scared the crap out of you every single time you'd run back. It was just like little kids again. It's like I was like, that's a cool story.
Do people still use backlots very much at all, though? Because I think the problem isn't backlots; it's their geographic location, and they just don't shoot in L.A. and Hollywood much anymore.
That's a little bit of column A, little column B.
The problem The problem is that because of the way that things are shot now, you don't need backlots anymore. You can use the camera equipment is getting so good. You don't need to like strategically place lights. The only thing really that you would use backlot stuff for is because that's the specific look that you're going for, is that, we have chosen to make this look like a backlot.
Yeah, we're going for that
kind of
50s
thought, like,
aesthetic.
if you're going to have, you're going to have one scene that's at the Bates Motel, and the next scene is like in New York City where the psychiatry office is, then you only have to go like 400 feet to get to New York City from the Bates Motel.
Sure, but Bruce, there's a very big difference between New York City backlot and New York City.
Yeah,
like
you're right.
There's a very different look.
But there's a guy like me who just wishes it would let us run around the backlot with our cell phones and shoot some little videos or something. It just seems so fun for a guy.
Well, sure, everybody wants to recreate the final third of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Who doesn't want to do that?
Oh man, I just I want to go to that town square and jump out of a DeLorean and get attacked by gremlins.
Anybody where there's a Godzilla jet ski, and that's where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the cool parts about this movie is like because when we start up here and everything, we just start right at the court case and right at his hearing and everything, and just let him go. But the great part about this movie is that kind of, because we know of the first movie, we know what Norman's problem is. We're always waiting for that other shoe to drop, but there's enough plausible deniability and stuff that you're like, maybe he's fixed, maybe he is there. And then when you see him step foot in, like, they play such a great cat and mouse game throughout the entire movie, really making you go, is he losing it? Is he still there? Is somebody getting one over on him? What's happening here? And again, having that angle is so very interesting, and not really just trying to recreate Psycho yet again, which would have been a mistake.
I think the most Hitchcockian thing was convincing us he was crazy, then convincing us that he wasn't, and then saying, hey, just because someone's trying to convince you you're crazy doesn't mean you can't still be crazy.
Yeah.
And I one thing I thought, I don't want to get too far into it just yet, I'll let you guys lead the way. But one thing I thought was that they unveiled a certain twist a little too early, but then I thought, Psycho also unveils a twist really, really early.
Yeah.
And then they got more twists, and then one final twist, and then yet another twist. And I'm a guy that likes roller coasters when I'm watching a movie. I don't like roller coasters when I'm in an amusement park. When I'm watching a movie, I love the twists, and I love a movie that I can't predict.
Right.
And this was a movie that I couldn't predict. And that made me really happy. And I like the storytelling more than the visual storytelling. I like the actual plot and the script and the story. I love the visual storytelling, but it's like Hitchcock shots in color never really worked for me the same. It's like Hitchcock's the greatest black and white film director from this humble guy's little opinion. I don't know enough to know anything.
Well, I mean, North by Northwest is amazing. It's an amazing movie.
But also color.
I'm giving you a limited man's limited opinion here, Sean. And then I think of Kubrick as like the master of color. Like, just because Kubrick made black and white, and just because, Hitchcock made color, I still kind of think Kubrick's better in color, Hitchcock's better in black and white. But the movie, why I'm singing the praises is the storytelling. And it not only builds on Hitchcock, but it also kind of respects what Block was saying with the first Psycho about trying to ask some social questions and not just give us a slasher. And at 9 minutes and 14 seconds in this movie, I sent you guys a text, and Robert Loggia's character says, like, normally we wouldn't have this situation with all the cutbacks. See you later. I know you stabbed people to death, but you're out on the streets without anybody watching you. Good luck.
It's a 30-minute trip out here.
Of what Reagan did in the 1980s.
Well, I mean, it really been going on since even the 60s with Kennedy, and it's just been getting worse and worse and worse.
Well,
and
there was a specific. Yeah, there was
literally a moment.
Yeah, there's a specific executive order that caused this to happen. I know it really well because my mother spent a lot of time as an inpatient in psychiatric hospitals in the 80s, so I'm very familiar with when everything changed. But it was like this biting critique, and I went from the first thought I had is, boy, I wish that was Dick Miller instead of Robert Loggia. But then he lays out the reason he's not being let out because he's better. He's being let out because they can't afford to keep him there anymore. And then I'm like, I'm in. And then I start to see like like the whole duality of the people wanting to pick on him because he's crazy. And I'm thinking of like in Girl Interrupted, don't point your finger at crazy people, like as Dennis Franz wanting to be murdered violently with the knife. I love how Norman, I almost called him Perkins, but I look how Norman lives in an environment in which a gigantic, flashy silver knife is never more than one grasp away. I like it. It's in the cake, and he just happens to notice it. He's cutting his grilled cheese with, come on, you guys make grilled cheese. Do you take like the maximum Ginsu butcher knife to cut your grilled
Table
cheese?
knife.
Like one of those little skinny ones.
Yeah, it's
Like a paring knife or something.
I got to go backwards. You have killed me with your words, Bruce Leslie. Earlier, no. The first thing is the Hitchcock ain't so good in color.
I don't mean ain't so good. I prefer his black and white. I'd also
Okay.
the birds can suck it, Bruce Leslie.
So the first time I saw North by Northwest was in black and white.
Okay. Secondly, I will not have anyone besmirching Robert Loggia on my own goddamn podcast. Robert Loggia is the fucking best. Robert Loggia is one of those guys. I will freely admit, Robert Loggia in being in charge of your mental health is not a great idea.
No.
I'm the first person to freely admit that. Robert Loggia needs to be constantly like he's got stomach pain happening constantly. And a pack of cigarettes is just off screen. His character's got a pack of cigarettes just off screen, and he's like, God damn it, Norman, Robert Loggia, for God's sake, Norman, stop being so crazy. That's kind of what
he's
Robert
eating
Loggia
Tums
should
like
be.
M&Ms. He's
Exactly. So to see him in a role that he's not being Robert Loggia in is so fascinating to me, because it's like, well, that's Robert Loggia, but he's not being Robert Loggia in this movie.
He's really kind of kicking ass.
I just find it so interesting, man. And he also credits Psycho 2 with being his big springboard for his career, because he says that the reason why he got Scarface is because of him getting Psycho 2 first.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, you got Dennis Franz. That's that De Palma connection and everything.
Dick Miller is my Robert Loggia.
He's like, his moment where he's like sits down at the table and everything and takes off his glasses. I'm like, ooh, Robert Loggia's putting on a performance right here, man. He's really giving
He's a good actor, man.
Yeah.
Robert Loggia's an awesome actor.
But again, like you said, it's different from what his normal kind of fare is here and everything, to have him be have some compassion and be like, he's a doctor who's compassionate against for his patients and everything. It's like,
Right.
He's committed to the job, because I have quite a few friends who've become psychiatrists. I know people in the field. I don't know a single one of them that would go to the trouble to exhume a body for a patient.
wow.
Look, man, this script is very, very good. I think no one is implying that it's perfect. I mean, just the Stan Lee style melodrama that happens in literally the last scene in this movie. You're like, well, come on. You don't even need that part. Come on.
But I love it.
Well, of course you do. But I mean, like, somebody who just likes really good movies is gonna be like, well, this is how I am. This is how adult me is. Is at the very end, you're just like, well, that's some Stan Lee horse shit right there. What they just did.
And then we all just did it, and that was the end. Goodbye, everybody. We're done. What do you? No, yeah, no, we're done.
So one of the things I want to talk about is that when producers are first kind of like thinking about making a Psycho 2, right? They don't have a script yet. They don't really know anything about it yet. They just know that they don't want to make that damn novel, right? And so their first thought is, and Bruce, you probably found this out too, is that they thought they were going to make a TV movie, right?
Yes, for cable.
Right. And so they think they've got a TV movie on their hands, and they pitch the idea to Perkins first, and Perkins says, no, I'm not doing a Psycho 2. They don't have a script yet. And so they start looking around to see who else could play Norman Bates. And I found this so interesting because I was like, you know what? That's actually kind of perfect casting. Bruce, do you know who it is? Who they were?
I do not.
It's Christopher Walken.
I could see that.
They want a movie, but I'd watch it.
Yeah, 84
Right.
Christopher Walken. Yeah.
But
They want to, right? Dead Zone Christopher Walken. That's pretty good, man.
Yeah. It's not
But
bad.
Perkins, man, it's just one of those roles, and it's only compounded by the fact that I haven't really seen Perkins in an on-cycle movie very often, and it's just hard for me now to go back and picture changing horses on that with Psycho 2. I think the fact that they kept Perkins in the role is part of what gives it the authenticity, and it makes it feel like a real sequel and not like some of those garbage sequels that are out there by Canon Films and stuff.
Well, that's what happens, right? So they give the Green. No, Green's the director.
No. The director's is here.
Tom
Holland. So Tom Holland finishes the script. The producers love it, and they send it to Perkins immediately, just on a flyer, like, "Hey, just take a look at this." And so Perkins reads the script and he goes, "Oh, this is not at all what I expected." And so he signs on, like he's on. And once he agrees to it, it's no longer a TV movie. Now it's going to be a theatrical release. And the really cool thing to me about Psycho 2 is, with the exception of Meg Tilly, everybody kind of loves this movie who worked on this movie. And we'll get into the Meg Tilly of this all later, because it's crazy. What it's and I have a crackpot theory on this too, but I think that when Holland talks about the other movies that he's done, and he's done some really cool things. Like, I love the first Fright Night. I think that's a great movie. It's so fun.
Yeah.
The first Child's Play also is fine. Like I okay, sure, but
it was.
But
good
hold
at the
on,
time.
let me finish. So the thing that I love about Holland is that Holland says this is the best script he ever wrote, because of what he had to accomplish in order to make this thing work. It's the thing that made him feel like, oh, I'm a really good writer, because he did something that no one thought was possible. And not only is it a good film, but he makes the decision. I think his best decision is that it's from Norman Bates' perspective, because the first Psycho isn't. It's from everyone else's perspective. And so to see what Norman Bates is going through in the sequel is so interesting. I mean, it all goes to shit on 3 and anything thereafter. But this one specifically, it's so interesting to see, oh, this is what Norman Bates feels like all the time. Like, that's a cool thing to see.
It lets you into that mind, and it also gives you that unreliableness of it and everything that lets you be in the mind of that person and stuff as well. Goes like, oh, is this real? Is this not real? And it's like, and you even and again, because we know what we know about the character and everything, we go, oh, well, maybe he's just doing this. Is it back in his head and stuff? And it really gives you, is it is or is it ain't happening. And
right.
it drags you along the entire time perfectly well too. That's the greatest part, is that you just go like, oh no, he's sane, he's fixed. Oh no, he's definitely crazy. And there's always something in the back of your mind just going, well, we know who this is. We know who it is. We know where this is going. But there's always a part of you that kind of like, and they make Norman a very, kind of empathetic character and everything. You feel bad for him, which is something that you would not suspect, having the first movie and everything going, this man's absolutely bonkers. You can't redeem something like that. But here it does feel like he's kind of been redeemed. You're cheering for him. You want him to do well.
I'm just kind of surprised they didn't have like the scene early. No, I'm not. I am surprised, but it's a good thing that it's not there.
I
start off by saying that. But I'm surprised they didn't have the thing in the beginning where like he has an alarm on his watch or something that goes off. He's like, oh, my pills, I got to take my pills. And then eventually he just quits taking the pills.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering like what's real and what's not. I'm glad they didn't do that. But boy, especially around 1983, just the non-specific pills, I'm sort of surprised they didn't have that going on in there.
Yeah.
I do agree with Tom Holland that this is the best script that he's ever written. But I do like some of the other things he's done. Yeah. But my question is, and I'm kind of curious specifically what your thoughts are on this, Sean. but how much collaboration do you think you might have had with the script? Because this is so far above the other things I'm familiar with. I just wonder if maybe there was some secret sauce in this one.
Well, there is collaboration. There's collaboration with Anthony Perkins and with Hitchcock's daughter.
Okay. Because this stands out such that I thought there had to be more to the story.
He keeps making sure that Hitchcock's daughter is okay with what he's doing. Like, he doesn't, like, not every day send her a new page or anything, but he does send her a script and goes, is this okay? We're not destroying your father's memory with this, are we? Kind of a thing. And she's fully on board once she reads that script. I know that she was pretty upset that they were making a sequel, which anyone would in that situation, right? But once she reads the script, once you have Hitchcock's protege directing, and once Anthony Perkins is involved, she's no longer upset. She knows that, these are people who actually care about this and aren't going to make, like, basically what Psycho 3 ends up being. Like, this is actually something that's interesting and nuanced. And like you said, Bruce, earlier, this script is too smart to have the shaking pill bottle moment. Like, he doesn't have those moments in this because it's just too damn smart of a script.
And this is a point too where Anthony Perkins is like, this is kind of the start of it, and it definitely gets worse within the sequels here and everything. Is Anthony Perkins is now kind of not to say that he hasn't had a career since Psycho, because he did enough stuff. Yeah, but it really is the thing that kind of ultimately defined his career, and in a really good way, because he's amazing in that movie. But you can also tell within this movie that the man is taking his craft very, very seriously. He takes the character of Norman very, very seriously, and it feels like he is. It does feel like a collaborative effort, because it doesn't feel like there's any false moves in here that character wouldn't do, and I feel like that was definitely on him here, just going like, you guys, maybe we ought to kind of do it sort of this way. I could be wrong, but again, it only got worse when you hear Mick Garris just go like, listen, Anthony would just be like, hey, we're only doing this sort of thing, and then he would then go on to direct Psycho 4. So you realize where the kind of like
he directs Psycho.
Was he 3 and Garris did 4? I forget which is which.
I don't remember, but I know that he is the director of 3.
One thing I'm kind of curious about is in 1983, what was De Palma up to at this point in time?
So he's doing like Body Double and stuff like this at this point. And again,
because Body Double that's the Hitchcock remake, and clearly De Palma is in love with Hitchcock, and I'm surprised he didn't try to lobby for this movie, unless maybe in '83 he wasn't quite De Palma yet, because sometimes
he definitely was.
He's De Palma.
I can't remember what's what.
Is he Scarface about this time? Maybe
yes. Scarface is '83, so he's literally working on his grand opus.
Yeah. Okay, boy. What a different world we live in if he says he'd rather do Psycho 2 and then Scarface gets directed by Hal Needham.
Right. Oh my Lord. Put it on sticks. We'll shoot it.
Burt Reynolds is Scarface.
So, you have Dean Cundy as cinematographer also, which is kind of the secret sauce of this movie, right? Where even though the director is sort of new, this is his second movie, his third movie?
No, this is like his 5th or 6th movie. He's done a whole bunch of Australian things, but that was...
Right. I'm talking big budget. Like, this is like Hollywood.
It's Hollywood, for sure. This was his Hollywood calling card,
Right. And so having him on board too, it was just a very smart move. And he came up with the idea of the shot where Norman is in the window, and they kind of pan from him in the window and go down to the kids breaking into the front of the house. And that's all that's a special effect. It looks like it's one continuous shot, but Cundy had the idea for that, and he's like, you're never going to be able to get that in real life. You got to use a special effect.
And it like all those different
but
moves
it is a
and
practical
stuff.
Effect. I mean, it's a camera movement.
Yeah. But all that stuff, it felt like they were very much kind of going for that Hitchcock sort of thing of like, here's these couple of tracking moves. There's a couple of overhead shots, all very specifically, again, echoing Hitchcock without actually just smacking you in the face with a cold fish going, remember this Hitchcock crap.
But specifically, let me go backwards for a second. So specifically, you've got Bates in the window. The camera pans to go down. The reason why it's a special effect is that you can't focus on Norman and then get the shot where you have to, there has to be some, it's a composite shot because it has to be composited. And so like the yes, there is the camera movement effect, but there's also the composite shot of that scene as well.
Gotcha.
They know what they're doing over there.
That's kind of what I was going to guess, was that they just shot it twice with 2 focal points and kind of blended those somehow. That's kind of what my guess was for practical effect. All I know is they couldn't take AI and say, make these 2 shots.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
So yeah, let's talk about Meg Tilly. That was an interesting choice to kind of cast her at this point and everything.
Tilly,
I like it.
Someone who's half Chinese, half Chinese American, I should say. Her father wasn't Chinese American, but someone of
Chinese
Asian
Canadian, sir. Chinese Canadian.
Oh, good point. But having an actor child of mixed ethnicity myself, I really like it that they were brave. Weren't we using that word, brave enough to cast Meg Tilly in 1983 as the niece of Janet Leigh. But what really made me cry for what could have been, and maybe you guys will tell me that I would be wrong to cry for this, but that they really pushed hard to get Jamie Lee Curtis in that role, and how great to have Janet Leigh's daughter playing the Meg Tilly role.
You're not wrong, but there was 2 things against it. One is that Jamie Lee Curtis at this point is trying to get out of horror. Like, she doesn't want to be in the horror genre anymore. She's already shot 2 Halloween movies. She shot The Fog because she's Carpenter's
and Prom
buddy.
Night 2 by this point, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want to do it anymore, and I totally understand that. Like, she's getting into comedies. She's like,
her career's just about to really take off at this point.
Yes. And then the second part to this is that the director, Green, said it's going to be too distracting if you have the child of Janet Leigh in this movie. And I don't think he's wrong. I think that because you want Norman to be all of your focus in this movie. And if you got Jamie Lee Curtis standing next to him, I'm a red-blooded American male. I'm looking at 1983 Jamie Lee Curtis, goddammit.
And she's a bigger kind of star at this point in 1983. Right. So she would have been really kind of going toe-to-toe with Perkins there and everything. And I got to be honest with you, on what I know about Perkins, I don't think he would have liked that.
Well, right. I will say that Meg Tilly does have a kind of unique beauty that I really...
totally.
Yeah, I really appreciate. And I think it's also kind of against type to bring her in, and I think it was a good choice. But me personally, I'm always gonna go for the marketing choice sometimes instead of what we got, or at least I can daydream about what might have been. If there were 2 cuts, then I could really know what I want. But boy, that would be expensive. But I do like Meg Tilly. I like her a lot. This is probably the only role of hers. I'm so much more familiar with her sister. It's probably the only role of hers that I know for sure that I can comment on because I've just seen it recently. And at first, I kind of did a double take, like, was that a young Jennifer Tilly? But, then look up the cast and everything, you see it's Meg Tilly. But I like her. She's good. Did she do a lot else? Am I, like, blind to her career?
She is Oscar nominated later in a movie that every...
God, right?
Right. That every single Catholic household had to see. It was cardinal law. You must go see this movie at some point. And so every Catholic family saw this movie. And
I've never seen Agnes of God, so that's part of why I don't really know much of her work, I guess.
You've missed nothing, sir.
But I wonder if there's some kind of connective tissue there that Tom Holland wrote this script and then Jen Tilly starts showing up in Child's Play movies 30 years later.
Well, yeah, she comes in. I think she's in some of those other ones too, right? I know she's in the new series.
I know that the only person she really got along with, Meg Tilly got along with, is Tom Holland. So that there is a real chance that you're right about that, Bruce. So do you guys know, Bruce, how much do you know about the Meg Tilly story on Psycho
I know
2?
Probably nothing about the Meg Tilly story. All I know about Meg Tilly is now I know who she is, when before I didn't really have a good grasp on that.
So, Adam, how much do you know?
Zippo.
Okay, so here's the deal, right? So Meg Tilly and Anthony Perkins hated each other.
I could see that.
Which is so surprising because when you see them in scenes together, you're like, they're really good together.
Yeah.
And they're like complimenting each other so well, because Perkins is having a ham sandwich half the time in half of these scenes, which you need to have that character doing. And then you've got Meg Tilly who's playing it low, and you have that balance with the acting, and it's great. The problem is that Anthony Perkins is 50 years old when they shoot this movie. Meg Tilly is 22 years old. And Anthony Perkins, it is a very big deal that he's doing this movie. Meg Tilly is on the phone with her mom. Perkins overhears the conversation.
Uh-oh.
And basically, this is Meg Tilly's version of the story, is that because she grew up overseas, she doesn't have the cultural background of, like, she hadn't seen Psycho before the movie. Like, she didn't know who Anthony Perkins was. And so this is her version of the story, is that she's on the phone with her mom and she goes, I don't know why they're making such a big deal out of Tony. They're literally bending over backwards because of this guy. And I don't really know why. So Perkins overhears this. This is her version of the story. This is my crackpot theory. I think this is what actually happened. Perkins overhears this. She, as a way to try to save face, is saying this, but she was being a little catty bitch to her mom on the phone, and Perkins just happened to hear it.
Yeah.
And so Perkins, for the rest of the movie, is like, you don't know why it's a big deal, why people are making a big deal of me in this movie? Like, how dare you? I'm Anthony, you wouldn't even be here right now if it weren't for me being here. Like, that's, what's going on in his head. And I totally understand it, but there is a part of me that's like, she's a 22-year-old girl. She's a former dancer too. Like, that's the other part. She was a professional dancer for years, and you could totally tell when you see her in this movie, like, oh, she's completely got the physique of a dancer, but she had some catastrophic injury at some point, and so she couldn't dance anymore. So she was like, well, I'm pretty, I could be an actor maybe. And so that's what she ended up doing. This is like her first huge role.
Oh gosh.
Psycho 2. And so for the rest of the movie, because of the way that she spoke about Perkins, and Perkins hates her, so the director hates her, so Cundy hates her, so all the other people who were involved in Psycho hate her. Like, that other actress who's on set who was in the first Psycho, like, can't stand her either.
Vera Miles, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Vera Miles is the actress. And so they all basically make a wall of how dare you. And so this 22-year-old actress who just got over her and say catty shit to her mom on the phone just basically has the worst experience of her life. And so even to this day, when they do retrospectives, she's not a part of it. Whenever somebody asks her a question about Psycho 2, even though she's not even an actress anymore, she's a novelist now, she won't answer any questions. Like, she's kind of taking the high road on this, instead of Anthony Perkins was a prick and he was a bully, and all these other people bullied me the entire show, and I was 22 years old.
The funny thing is, part of what makes Anthony Perkins work so well in this role is he's like almost Mr. Rogers like, and how sweet he seems. So to hear that he was a real prick to somebody is kind of cool to hear in a weird way.
Well, you got to think of this part of it too, though, Bruce, is that, Perkins was supposed to be like a gigantic movie star. Like, he was the studio system kind of positioned him to be sort of like a Paul Newman kind of. And when you see him at young and not being Norman Bates, he is a handsome, boyish boy.
He pulled Tad Hunter. Do you guys know who Tad Hunter is?
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins dated Tad Hunter, something my father told me about that I didn't know. But he grew up Psycho. He's basically Perkins' age, so he grew up in real time with the guy. And was telling me all
it's
about
that
his
sort of thing
dating
where
life
you get a lover who ends up looking like you. Not a good, not a good
really
move. Not a good move. It's like, I love me so much.
Easy there, Liberace. Holy hell! But so
the plastic surgery, Liberace.
So when his career basically gets sidelined because of this movie, and look, Perkins took there's a couple of roles like that aren't Norman Bates movies where. Like I can't remember what baseball movie it is where it's so just crushingly clear that the man has never played baseball in his entire life.
Oh, you're telling me that this man is not athletic? I don't buy that based upon what I've seen.
And so, part of it, right? Where it's like,
Throw the
you
ball.
also don't understand that that you were not right for this role. It's sort of like a modern day Scarlett Johansson when people are like, isn't this an Asian character? And she's like, I can play Asian. That isn't how that works, lady. That's
Sure
kind of the same thing.
There's a
It'd
moment
be
where
like casting Nathan Fielder as a tough guy. Just not going to work out.
Right.
my friend here's going to bust your head, bro.
Unless there's the old switcheroo like he did in season 2 of his show. My God, man.
That was
is
weird,
the craziest switcheroo I've ever seen in my life. Man, that guy goes deep. Did you guys know this? Because Anthony Perkins in 1975 is the guest host on Saturday Night Live. Do you know this?
I don't know this.
So, Saturday Night Live is a very big deal in 75, but it hasn't gotten to the point where it's just all throughout the culture, right? It's just a very, very popular show, but people weren't running to guest star on it. And so Anthony Perkins, he's like at least a decade removed from Psycho. He agrees to do the show. And it's so weird to see him, a very serious A actor, on Saturday Night Live, because he's not really game. Like The Rock is game. When The Rock shows up for Saturday Night Live, you guys know I can't stand The Rock, but he is good on Saturday Night Live because he's game for everything.
Yeah, yes.
Anthony Perkins clearly is not, except there's this one sketch, which is he's playing Norman Bates. And it's the Norman Bates School for Hotel Management, and it's a very cute thing, and it's the kind of sketch where the idea of it is much funnier than the execution of it.
Yeah,
because he's just hitting all the jokes that you could possibly think of, and the sketch goes too long because it's 1975. And they just need to pad out the running time, which they still do. But they're just padding out the running time of this sketch because they know, this is going to be one of the cutesy sketches that might make a best of the year sketch reel kind of a thing.
Hey Tony, Bill Withers doesn't want to do another song. Can you come out here and just do whatever the fuck it is you do?
Right, exactly. You guys already said you hated Henson and his Muppets, so we're gonna have him be Norman Bates for a sketch that's 3 minutes long, but actually 10.
Stretch it.
So
the network needs it.
Just talk a little bit about the events in this movie, because this is one of those I think is worth talking about.
Sure.
And I, just to kind of lay down the groundwork here, he gets out and he's getting mysterious messages, phone calls that he's convinced are from his mother. As I'm watching it, I'm convinced that he's losing his grasp on reality. Mm-hmm. But then the first reveal happens where we find out that Meg Tilly's character Mary is actually Mary Loomis, which, by the way, I can't get over the fact that Dr. Loomis and the Loomis family and Psycho, those movies are too much alike. Carpenter, you know better than that.
He did. That's a Carpenter take too. Carpenter took that, man.
Oh, definitely. But when we get that first reveal, we're like 40 minutes into the movie, right? And I'm like, oh, this is way early to be unveiling the Scream twist, that there's two people working together and what's going on. And there's a little bit of me that was kind of embarrassed that I couldn't see Mary's connection, perhaps. But then we start to find out, they're saying themselves, hey, we couldn't have done this. And then they're gone completely. And we're convinced, okay, it's absolutely Anthony Perkins gone full nuts again. And they really just kind of misled us with that. Then we get another reveal. The whole idea that Mrs. Bates isn't his biological mother. She was his adopted mother. And we're all thinking, at least I'm thinking, that's just Norman's insanity and that this is all malarkey. But then we get a payoff on the twist that the person claiming to be his mother was in fact his mother, and she was still alive, and she's the lady that hired him at the diner. And then we get the big blow with the shovel and the movie ends. I kind of would have liked the ending to have been him holding the shovel and fade to black before he hits her. I know it's a small ask, but for some reason that in my mind, that's how I imagine it ending.
Well, again,
I don't want any of the adoption part. I don't want he's adopted. There's a real mom.
Yeah, it wasn't really so much adoption. It's like this old Southern thing. I guess they did it in California too, where like the sister raises the baby because the mom can't, whatever.
Yeah.
She was in a mental hospital. What's she going to do? Then Reagan kicked her out the same time that he kicked Norman out and made this movie possible because she says, I didn't get out until you were already in,
Wouldn't that be hilarious if they were like roomies or something? Like he's just down the hall.
But I really like that end. And I also like that he has a toasted cheese sandwich, not a grilled cheese sandwich, a toasted cheese sandwich.
This MFer loves sandwiches. Look across the history of Psycho. The man loves himself a sandwich.
It reminds me of Bad Santa, how much sandwiches all come up in that guy's life.
And I'm going to have a glass of milk like the good Lord intended, a sandwich, and a full-ass glass of milk.
And I know that you don't like that final reveal, Sean, but I like how they kept finding enough story that they were able to give us multiple endings in a way, and not in the way the Return of the King did, which was kind of annoying to me at the time, but they did it in a way that was Hitchcockian. When I think back to how early they showed us the twist in Psycho, and it had that twist and then another twist. And this one, you've got to up the game. They've got to come up with a third twist, and the third twist can't just be, yeah, he's really insane, but it's got to be he's really insane and something else. And they found something that worked really well for me. I know you don't like it, Sean, but I don't always hold stories to a kind of level that you do, I guess. Like I kind of enjoy something that is a little more fantasy, something that is less realistic, because that's why I dive into this, is to get away from real things. But I also enjoy a lot of verisimilitude, and then you throw a little bit of that twist at me, and that makes me happy. So this was a really, really good tone of movie for me. Those twists worked for me. The murders, they tried to make it more typical slasher murders than what we got in the first one. I know why they did that. I love a good slasher murder, but I prefer it to be in a lower budget movie than this. I would have preferred. Well, I'm serious. Like this movie
I know what you mean.
This movie could afford to this, with both the story capital and the financial capital. This story could afford to keep you involved and engaged without having to give you the blood spurts like you get in Lone Wolf and Cub. You know what I mean?
I will say this, though.
That part I didn't need, but I like the movie. Please, Adam, I'm sorry that I...
No, that's all right. That knife in the mouth, best gag in the whole thing. Looks real good.
It's so great. It's so great. It made me laugh out loud this last time watching it, because I was like, oh, that repulsed me so hard as a kid watching that.
Yeah.
And then to have it be this like almost like quaint, like oh, they used to do this, is the kind of thing they used to do to make.
We made a whole ass head of somebody
They
and
did
a thing, and like it looks so great. It's just like it, and it's on that kind of like just cusp of looking fake enough and real enough at the same time, where you're just like, fuck, I can't even tell if it's like real or like you're that like
the tip of the knife blade goes out of her neck and the back. It's so great,
awesome,
and also I'm sorry, go ahead, Bruce.
This is also separated from where Block was telling a story about people with mental illness. And Block was talking about the significance of early childhood development at a time when nobody was talking about the psychological importance of early childhood development, 1960 something. I mean, this was pretty progressive. This is pretty cutting edge stuff.
Right.
And part of the reason I think I never liked Psycho as much as I appreciated it was because I didn't have the best kind of relationship with my mother, and maybe it was a little too uncomfortable watching it. But this one with the twist,
couple wrong terms, boy, that's me.
It separates it enough that I can actually engage and enjoy it without having to reflect. So I do like that aspect of Psycho too. So that's a one specific reason to like Psycho 2 better than Psycho 1, but it is a reason I like to share those reasons.
And I like the fact that we end this movie.
Sorry, Porteous, please.
Real fast. I like that we end this movie a lot like where we kind of start Psycho 1 with. We're kind of back to square one, so to speak, is like because Mother's back. You know, he's still going back into this thing. She's telling him to get back to work at the hotel and all that kind of good stuff. So it is all cyclical right back into that kind of the pattern that he's used to.
It's almost as if they already knew they wanted to make 2 more movies.
Yeah, I mean, they're building out a franchise again with this, and because they kind of know what they have by the end of production with this, where they're like, oh, this is a thing. We got a thing here. I have a question for you, Bruce. So when Portress first brings up, oh, we should watch Psycho 2. And I say something like, that movie is freaking awesome. We absolutely need to see that movie. What is your reaction to that? Are you like, this could be a Sean with The Shadow?
Sean loves spaceships, but does Sean love horror movies?
Honestly,
No.
Having just seen Jaws 2, well, no, we hadn't just seen Jaws 2, and he mentioned Psycho 2, but it was a movie I'd never seen, so I always kind of liked that. We've been doing a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
And then when you said it was really good, that kind of lifted my spirits a little bit, because you don't cut horror movies any slack, Sean.
No.
So you're not going to shadow a horror movie like you would The Shadow.
Right.
And I was, disappointed internally, because I'm like, I really think we got these classic Child's Play 2, Halloween 2, Friday the 13th Part 2. Like, we got all these really good ones, and to go with Psycho 2, that sounds kind of like a lame one. And then when you spoke up for it, I got curious, and that made me more enthusiastic about it. And like, even if I didn't just accept your analysis at face value, I still want to see what it is you like about it. So it actually made me eager to see a movie that I would have never, ever been interested in seeing if not for this show. Like, I would have gone to my grave in God knows how many years. I'm like Dick Van Dyke. It'll be a long time.
Yeah, I will.
I would have gone to my grave without seeing Psycho 2 if not for the show, and I wouldn't have been happy about watching it if you hadn't said what you did, Sean. So it all worked out.
Nice. He's going to dance on our grave, Portress. You hear that? He's going to dance on our
like,
grave.
you guys think I'll outlive either of you? I literally am riddled with stress 23 and a half hours a day. The other 30, I have passed out from stress.
A couple of things here. I got to bring up the Loja kill.
Oh, the Loja
kill is like the unluckiest. It's almost like that Spanish movie Intacto, but the other way around, like the unluckiest people in the world. How he gets killed in this movie, bananas.
But what's great too is that's
a very great though.
It's the parallel to the first film where the cop getting killed in almost the exact same spot. He falls down the stairs and it's very kind of dramatic sort of fall, which is really great. But in this one, the Loja's fall is awesome because he goes over the banister, down, hits the knife again to go further in his chest. It's like, holy shit, this is great.
Ouch.
It was almost the guy falling, Ricardo Montalban's fall at the end of The Naked Gun. It was close. But not
yes.
close.
Yes. And then the fact that she takes the knife out and Norman gets stabbed with that. It's like, oh, it's a comedy of errors. It's so good. It's so good. I just love this little tiny movie that can. It's just so fun. There's so many people. This is one of those movies where this was so many different people's passion project, and you can feel it when you're watching it. There's so many people who are like, I just need to do my best work because this needs to be great, and you can feel it.
It's like a money grab that doesn't feel like a money grab. It feels like they were going in for a passion. They clearly wanted to make some money, but they gave a shit about what they were putting out on the actual thing here. Hold on.
Fortress Bucks.
We got Bruce needs more.
Oh yeah, man! If you saw my TikTok, you know all about the sorority babes that Trillin and I checked out last night.
Sorority babes in the slime bowl-orama. That's what Bruce enjoys.
Slime ball bowl-orama.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get the full proper title there.
At one point I said sleazeball bowl of ramen in my TikTok. It's a hard name to say. But I'm going to say something I haven't said on this podcast before, to the best of my recollection. Definitely not in Volume 2. I may have said it in Volume 1 because that goes way back, man. And I cannot remember things sometimes. But I'm going to get this movie on physical media.
Oh, damn.
Nice. That's how much I enjoyed it. I want this movie to be something I watch more than once, at least once a year, maybe more. I really connected with this bad boy. I mean, this, you know how I am with horror movies, and I usually like them a whole lot cheesier and cheaper, and I love that can-do attitude. But I also respect something good when it's good, too, and I like this.
I think you can get the 4-pack of these movies on Blu-ray for under $20, maybe under $15.
I don't want them on Blu-ray. I want it on DVD now. I'm going old school.
You can use the Psycho 3 and Psycho 4 DVD cases to like steady your table.
If your
Because
coffee
there's
table's
no
wobbling.
other reason to watch those movies. They're awful.
I have decided I need to be more of a physical media guy, and I've been rounding up my DVDs and putting them on a hard drive because I don't want to keep track of a bunch of DVDs, but I can fit about 200 on a hard drive.
Stay tuned to Half-Ass Movie Podcast YouTube channel, because I'm taking what was supposed to be a place for laundry. I'm taking all of that stuff out, and I'm putting all of my DVDs in this giant walk-in closet. It's going to be dope.
Hey,
The Blu-rays take too long, so I only do DVDs.
Can I come up with a concept here that we have never discussed? And I'm sorry that I'm just thinking of it now, but I'll forget later if I don't say it right now.
All right.
You know, I think that HMP has a couple of Mount Rushmore things. I would say the first Lone Wolf and Cub is one of the faces on Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that probably this is number 2. Because this is one of those movies where, like, if you want to be a champion of something, you want to be a champion of a movie like this, where it's like, look, this movie isn't for everybody, but when it finds the right audience, this movie is as good as it gets for the kind of film this is.
Yeah.
Where it could be utter shit. And the fact that so many people cared so deeply for the making of this movie. It's not just the director and the screenwriter who clearly cared so much, but Cundy cared. You know, Perkins cares a ton. They even bring in Vera Miles for her role, and she came out of retirement to do it because she wanted this to be done correctly. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they had written in her the fiance character from the first Psycho movie in it. But they couldn't get him because he was the U.S. ambassador to Mexico at the time.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he couldn't do it. So they just ended up writing his character out of the script.
Are you telling me that President Reagan was appointing actors as diplomats?
I know, crazy.
Did he
right?
send Shirley Temple to Romania or something crazy like that?
Yes, he did indeed.
Yeah, I need you to
was
get out to
Czechoslovakia,
Romania
not
and really
Romania,
tell the
sorry.
people what's
Yeah,
going
I
on.
knew it was an Eastern Bloc country.
All right, we got to get down to it. Bruce, what is your stars and recommendations for Psycho 2 from 1983?
I figure you guys can guess, but I'm going a full 5 on this one. I mean, it's so rare that I find a horror movie because, you know, I'm a sucker for that also has the kind of complicated storytelling that really pulls me in. Mm-hmm. I'm a much better reader than I am a writer. So I really like complicated stories, but I tend to write more simple stories. But man, I love this. 5 stars. I honestly think that people know enough about Psycho that even if you haven't seen it, you can go straight into this because you know who Norman Bates is. You get the idea. Everybody's seen the shower scene.
Yeah.
And this is one that if you've never seen Psycho before, I think this is a less shocking adjustment to going back to 1960s filmmaking for somebody who's in their 20s. But I don't want to sell them short. Maybe they'd like the other one. Good movie, 5 stars. I need to know when to shut up.
Shawnee, what do you got?
This movie also benefits, like you were saying, Bruce, from cultural osmosis, where when I was a kid, I did see Psycho first, but you don't need to. You could totally walk in blind to Psycho 2. You know, if you know who Norman Bates is, the character of Norman Bates, you don't need anything else.
That's
Like,
how
you already
amazing
know what
Hitchcock
you need to know.
did. What an amazing job that where everything, like even if you haven't seen this film, from iconography enough, know exactly what the movie is. It's wild.
Yep. It's just so well written. It's so well made. This is a 5-star movie for me also. This is a movie that whenever somebody wants wants to talk about how terrible sequels are, this is one of the movies that I bring up where I go, you think that movie is bad, but it's actually great. And now that it's one of the Mount Rushmore movies for us, I think it's unimpeachable. 5 stars.
I think you might win the pony for the best movie of the month here, Adam.
Yeah, Liz, I just thankfully I knew what I was getting into going in because I knew this was a good movie ahead of time. And but yeah, it's a 5-star all around for everybody here. Hand them out like cupcakes, everybody, because we're having a good time. It's It's far better than it has any right to be. It swings for the fences, and son of a bitch if that ball don't go all the way over. I can't explain it. It's still I've seen it like 6 times. It still baffles me how decent of a flick this really is. Perkins is giving it his all. Like you said, Cundy's like giving you a color version of Hitchcock, which is kind of wild because it's all the same shit. It's just like it's so authentic. It's amazingly good. And again, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a big old giant favor. It's really, really stout. 5 stars all around, everybody. So that is it. We got another episode of HMP in the works here, but next week we've got another sequel for you to go from, and we are checking out Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It's
a great sequel, but not a Psycho 2.
Exactly. This won't lean to the level of Psycho 2 by any stretch of the imagination. There's going to be plenty of things with which to damn this movie, but also to praise it as well, which I think is a really cool thing. I'm excited to get in kind of to like my own personal history with the movie and stuff, and how the thoughts of everyone else, to be quite frank, have really evolved on this movie over time and stuff. So I think we're gonna have a very interesting conversation next week about Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Yes, sir.
Can I ask before watching, because I've seen this movie. I saw it, when I was a teenager, but I haven't seen it since. When, and all of the internet discussion about this movie is that it's just so very, very gay.
Very gay.
So my question is this, is that if you remove that knowledge that you have of the internet discussion of this movie, is it still very, very gay, or is it something where people are like, "Oh, and that's gay"? And that's gay.
Well, here's yes and no. It's a weird thing because
there's a dance scene.
We'll even talk. Well, yeah, but that's not even that. Like that's pretty gay, but that's just more like
gay. That dance scene's pretty gay.
But that's more like the gay that you would call somebody in 1980 something, as opposed to just actual gay. It's just like you're just acting gay kind of thing with the little guitar and all that kind of jazz. But the real thing is that like Jack Shoulder, the director himself, didn't even see any of the gay stuff. Like he was the guy directing everything, and it all just whoop right over his head. So we'll talk about all that kind of stuff and how everything plays together. It's a really interesting time.
And the lead, I mean, not Robert Englund, but the lead human actor. I don't know what you call like the kid who's being terrorized, but
the teen.
That actor, openly gay in real life, and I think his performance really was not appreciated by the very square director who didn't know what he was watching.
Well, no, he didn't know what he was directing.
What you think about it, Sean, after you see it. There's a great documentary about, I think it's called Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the gayest movie ever made, or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. What a great title, man.
I watched that, and that's why I know this stuff.
Speaking of which, one of the things that we've run into this week or this month is that we've got some really nice movie taglines. Like movie tagline for posters and stuff, like just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water.
Good one.
That was last week's, right?
Yeah.
This week's is it's 22 years later and Norman Bates is coming home, and it's just his silhouette, and there's the Bates Motel, and it's such a fabulous looking poster, and to have that tag over the top of it, it's like, ooh, that's the good stuff, boy.
Sean, doesn't it feel a little bit like me and Adam came up with that tagline, though? It's very literal.
Yes, but you need to let people know that it is Norman Bates, especially around this time where Halloween 3 is about toys.
Strangely, I was watching that earlier today.
And a weird Irishman with a grudge.
8 more days to Halloween.
Well, let's wrap this up before he comes over here and bangs all of our moms as he does in that movie. That's kind of how that works. I don't know if you've seen Halloween 3, but that's what Tom Atkins is just laying pipe that entire movie. He is, and you look at him and you're like,
have a shovel to get to my mom.
Why is he getting so much action? It's probably the stash. That is it, everybody. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Join us next week as spooky season sequels continues with Nightmare on Elm Street 2. For Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters, reminding you to go watch some movies, you dirty babies. Come on, dang it.